Action.
Action.
We're live.
We're live.
Uno, dos, tres. Number 3. Shoulder shimmy. So it's funny. We get on these chats before we hit the record button. It's like, don't talk anymore. Hit the button.
Yeah, stop telling me this story. This needs to be shared. Enough. So we were going to talk about the heaviness. I mean, I've been feeling it pretty heavy myself. And so I think it's a great idea to like just address how everybody's feeling and what we can do about it. So
Totally.
You were telling me a story about somebody who came into your house and feels all the vibration of the plants and the goodness. I mean, your house is like just a good cozy hug. I love being there.
So yeah, I'll definitely share the story. So had a conversation earlier this week with somebody who's, really close to me that comes in and helps me around the house. And she was sharing some personal experiences that she was working through. She says, when I go into other people's houses and I'm supporting them, there's a lot of pictures on the wall of like memorials. And, she goes, the vibration is different. It's dark in there. And, it's really hard for me to be excited about going to these places to help support because she recognized in herself that it was kind of weighing her down. It was quite heavy. And she said, when I come here, she goes, I don't know if it's your plants or you've got like, because I've got some little, gratitude sayings
shit
on
everywhere.
the wall.
To get that vibe, you're like, love yourself. And I love your little notes at the side of your door leaving. Can you share what you have on the side of your door leaving your house?
Yeah, there's little notes, make it a great day and you are awesome, and just really little reminders to see it all the time. And even in the bathroom, there's like a neon sticker that says next. And, when she comes, I'm like, just make sure you don't like, just clean around those things because I see them each and every day. But what she shared with me is she said, I'm recognizing when I'm coming here and there's different vibrations. She goes, it just makes me feel like I want to cry. And I said, that's so beautiful because that's releasing and you're safe to cry here. If you're going around and you're tiding and you're crying, I said, you just let me know if you need anything and how can I support you in this moment? And we sat down and we started to talk about it. And what was really inspiring about the conversation is, I asked her, what type of environment do you enjoy being around and spending your time in? And we discussed it. And it was really interesting to see that there's so much darkness and low vibration out there. And it's beautiful to honor what that is and where does that sit for us. But also that we have a choice. We have a choice to be in those environments. We have a choice to protect ourselves when we go into those environments. And, we can kind of chat a little bit about that. And it was really cool because she was coming to me to say, okay, I notice the vibration that's happening around here. And I notice the vibration when I'm in other spaces. And I want more of this. So of course I bring out the emotional feelings scale and we start talking about the feelings and how we can raise our vibration and sit in this, but also honoring those feelings that are going on inside of us. And we started to talk.
Hard.
Yeah, we started to talk a little bit about relationships and what's going on. And beautiful relationship advice was start pouring that gratitude into your partner and really looking at the shifts. So she showed up today to support and I said, so what's going on? She's like, oh my gosh, like I'm still feeling a little, but you're not going to believe what my partner did. And I was like, oh, maybe he was, she goes, I didn't have to say anything. I'm like, oh, well, we were pouring some juju into him on Monday. So he must have felt it. But it was a beautiful reflection of we can choose what we want in our space. We can choose to honor those feelings and be in those feelings, but how long do we want to sit in those before we recognize? And I said, you know what? High fives that you have this awareness all around what's happening inside of you, but you have a choice. What do you want to do with it? And how long do you want to sit in it? So it was
it's how we can actively, consciously cultivate something different for our day. I love how you counseled her on that because it's really important. And the fact that she had that self-awareness to be able to see, hey, I feel this way in this space and this way in this space. And what's the deal? And how do I fix it? And that's awareness. which is everything. Awareness is actually what starts the change. That is the first step in anything that we do. I mean, I'll share a little bit about myself. I've been going through definitely a darker couple of weeks than I've been used to. And there's been some stuff happening within my community and some targeting towards women. And normally with anything that's going on in the outside, I cultivate the goodness on the inside and really do work pretty hard. But this was hitting me because it was affecting women that I personally know, which cultivated fear inside of me, like intense panic attack fear, which to the likes that I haven't felt in well over a decade. So it was, number one, activating my nervous system to go right into fight or flight. All of my trauma was being triggered. My fear from my friends and family were being triggered. My fear for my own safety was being triggered. And this is what I do. I help people move through all of this stuff. And what I found, I spent the weekend with you up in Kelowna, which helped, being around people that support the good and the bad, the mess and all of the high vibration goodness. And so I was able to literally shift through all of those feelings on a weekend. And coming home, I didn't want to. I was having nightmares when we were there and having really bad dreams because I was processing all of that stress. And I do feel that when we process stress and we can't process it properly the way that we need to during the day, it may come up as nightmares at nighttime, which in my opinion is a really good thing, because that's the innate intelligence of my subconscious coming through and going, oh, you didn't do your work today, so we're going to do it for you when you're sleeping. So I think that's a very good thing, but it's a high indication that you still have some processing to do. So coming home into that vibration, up in Kelowna, I was in a very good space and I was still riding the waves of up and down, because every time I looked at my phone, I was sucked back in through my own accord. And then I would be in this space where I was feeling all the love and the high vibe. And then coming home, as soon as we hit my hometown, as soon as we started to come into Coquitlam, this heaviness came over me and I started to have panic again. So I started holding my hands and really rubbing my hands. I started rubbing my legs. I started breathing and telling myself I am safe in this now moment. And that is something that I hold for my clients and for myself, that on repeat when you are going through a vibrational seesaw. Right in this now moment, I am actually quite safe, but our body is being activated. And that's the same thing when she's going into a different vibrational state in a different home, her body's being activated in a different way. So things that we can do, I think, when we're navigating that heaviness is, for me personally, it's coming back into my body. That is the first step that we should always take when we're being triggered in any way, with any form of anxiety, anxiousness, fear, negativity. Where's my body? And when I say where's my body, oh, there's my finger. I'm going to hold my finger. I'm going to rub it along. I'm going to breathe. I do the 5-finger breath a lot, which is when you take, and this is great for children, but you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And it is so soothing because, number one, you're using the sense of touch.
We have to finish it.
Oh, breathe in, breathe out.
Like, don't leave me hanging.
Taking a large breath as you wrap yourself around the wrist and you go again until you do that. I got to turn my heater off. As you could tell, I've been a little cold this morning. I'm all bundled with my heat.
Minus 14 here.
Oh, it's cold. Well, it's only -4 here, but that's big for Vancouver. That's cold. So that's what I did. That's what I start to bring myself back home. And by bringing myself back home, which is my body is home. My mind, that bridge between what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, starts to actually connect. And so you get into that safety zone. You're repeating those mantras, which is very much the same as what you're doing with your sticky notes. At your door and on your window, I have the same thing up in my bathroom, my children's bathroom, the I am statements of reminding them of their strength and their capability. But also realizing that it's work.
Absolutely.
It's conscious effort. You're not just going to pop out of the shit. You're not just going to all of a sudden be okay. It's really important. And I find it's important to discuss the swing of the pendulum. So when I came home that day, I sat with my partner and I bleh all of my fears, like deep-seated fears, the unrealistic fears and the very real fears that have been cycling in my head. And as soon as I got it out, it was out. And then I could start bringing the good stuff in. So it wasn't me sitting in it. It was me needing to verbalize, this is what's happening in my head right now. And then coming back in and not shaming myself for it, having him not shame me for feeling all of the fears and honoring the darkness and the heaviness, which is exactly what you're talking about. We have to honor it by verbalizing it. And then we take a step back and go, but this is actually reality right now. Really, I'm safe in my home. Really, none of my friends have actually been harmed. Really, none of this is taking place in this now moment, and that we are okay. Now, what is my plan moving forward? Absolutely. So you release by speaking of it. You breathe in and connect into your body. You say the truth of what's actually happening in this now moment, and you make a plan moving forward. And that's how to move through any form of anxiousness, anxiety, darkness, complaining, bitching shit that we all, have to do in any spectrum.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really valuable for children too, actually.
When you're talking about it, it just brings up thoughts for me, because my past, I would relive and cycle through the story as if I was still verbally telling, but was I actually being heard or felt like I was being heard? So I would go into like first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and just went through this perpetual cycle of wanting to keep reliving it until I recognized that that was doing me more harm, other than acknowledging it, releasing it, letting it go as it no longer serves me. But I needed to reshape the story and actually bring in some positive affirmations, or like you said, I am safe in this moment, and really stick to the facts of where I am now to ground myself in. And I find now that when something surfaces, it's rooted from, or I'll trigger into something, it's rooted from this old belief or this old habitual pattern of the way that I used to just, we talk a lot with our hands, right? The way that I used to just, I always call it first, second, oh, there she goes into fifth gear. And now I can see it.
Yep.
I can see it and recognize that it's coming from a deeper root, and that I'm honoring it, but I'm grounding into where I am now in the moment. Yeah. So I really like that, Cher, for sure.
In this now moment, I am safe. And it's interesting. I was going to go and meet with a friend who lives by herself this evening. And normally I'd be okay with doing that. And I realize I'm not okay with driving by myself at nighttime right now. And that is something that I have to honor. And instead of pushing myself because it is silly, I actually said, you know what? I can't. I got to cancel. I have to honor this for the next few weeks until this calms down. And that's a really good boundary that I was holding with myself, right? And that's really equally as important. What do you need to feel safe, where you are honoring the feelings going in and knowing that it's temporary? I think that's the biggest thing to hold on to. This isn't forever. And we can relate to this, to the pandemic. This isn't forever. This is not forever. It feels like it because we've been going through it for almost a year now, but it's not forever. It is temporary, and it will shift and move, just like the regulations in BC have up and down and up and down, and we don't quite know what's going to happen, but it's temporary. This too shall pass. Everything starts and ends with you. What can you do with what you have, and how can you respect the feelings that you're feeling? And really diving in with honor. And honoring yourself is pulling yourself out too. So that's beautiful. How to honor. Yeah.
I'm honoring you in your upcoming little relaunch of your blog.
Oh, Yeah, that's been part of the trigger this last week.
I was gonna ask, right? Because that's stirring up the
and that's the stories. You know, I'm relaunching my conversion disorder blog, which is really exciting. I started Googling myself.
I actually Googled you yesterday too, I'm not gonna lie.
So a little unknown fact is that business-wise, I go by my maiden name. But when I launched this blog, it was with my married name, and I haven't Googled myself with my married name. And I found some really cool stuff where I was being talked about and referenced as a leading advocate for conversion disorder. And I started to remember how deeply embedded in this community I was, where there was no community. 10 years ago, there was no community for mental health. Bell Let's Talk hadn't been started yet. Mental health was still very much a deep-seated stigma, as it is right now, but it's like significantly better now compared to where we were. And the stories that I have firsthand experience within hospitals with mental health care and being lost in the system and all of that, and the gaslighting that came with it, and the judgment from friends and family and things that were said about me, all of that has really been surfacing this last week because I've been diving into my old words, and I'm starting to remember, oh shit, that was heavy. That was a really dark feeling. And you could see it in the way that I wrote. You can hear it. And my blog that I'm doing, I'm recording audio recording. So if you don't want to read,
nudge.
Thank you, Crystal, for that little.
I'm like, I don't want to read. I just want to hear you. You have like this beautiful audible book voice that just.
Thank you.
So I love it. I'm like, when's the next one coming out? No pressure.
So I haven't launched it yet. I've been sitting with it because I recorded the first one, which is just heartbreaking to me. It really just made me bawl my eyes out. You've heard it. I've read it out to you, and you're like, hello, first chapter of your book. But I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. I think it's going to be probably within the next day or two, or maybe Monday morning, but it's really
there's such a different connection by hearing your voice, because you can hear the pain. You can hear as you move through it, but it's also you moving through it. Like I just get goosebumps when I talk about it. We've talked about this before, but we can hear you moving through it. And then however you're going to deliver it, it's that reflection, right? Yeah. That reflection and that response of the now, because it's going to bring up, and you're going to have, this, you're already moving through a lot with it, but this beautiful story around and case studies and where you are now and who you're supporting, and that beautiful story and journey too, right?
It's quite exciting to have it come full circle, that now I am treating a young girl. So, and hopefully more, but conversion disorder, everybody has it. That's what a headache is. It's just to the extreme. And then the fear of not being able to get better. And so I think that was brought up in one of the interviews I did yesterday with Kimberly Hill, is trauma forever? Will you be suffering forever? And no, you won't. And that's because of the awareness that you can put into your life, which is how we started this conversation in the first place.
And reshaping that story, right? Where we can all focus in on the trauma and the struggles and the pain and the suffering. And, and I look at some of my childhood stories where it's reshaped who I am. And I'm freaking proud of those stories, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if I didn't have that innate wanting to have that expression at such a young age. So it's such a beautiful way of reshaping.
I think experiential education is dismissed a lot. And when you go through something, you have more knowledge than a lot of other people who intellectually maybe have studied it, because your feelings are your knowledge. That's your body. That's what you know. And I wish more people Well, I hope to inspire more people to start to share. And it's quite exciting. I mean, part of the International Women's Day conference that I'm a part of is women coming together and sharing their stories. And I just got contacted again by somebody else who does this transformation podcast. And you're doing it through your work with mindful education and children and getting those stories and those metaphors and being able to tap into that. And I think this is a really powerful time if we can see it as a powerful time instead of
Absolutely.
victimizing to all of the stuff that's coming up. It's coming up for us to really address it and to look at it with love.
Yeah. And, reflection back on even a year ago, to think that we've been in this for a year
Mm,
and to look at life how it was before, right?
yeah,
And to see how it's
I don't want
shaped
to
and
go back.
shifted,
Yeah.
right? And, the question is like, do you decide that you want to go back to the way it will never be the same? But as a
Mm-hmm.
planet, as a collective, I feel that we have been able to purge out what no longer serves us. I mean, not a lot of people can see some of the gifts, but I think they will eventually as they move through it and recognize
Mm-hmm.
that. And me personally, we were running from soccer to wrestling to this to that. And we thought we were doing our children, great service, but we never actually were connecting with them. And this last year, as a family, as a whole, there's been a lot of unknowns, there's been a lot of fear, there's been a lot of like what ifs. But when we come back to the family piece, when we get rid of all of that and we stop watching the news and, we just take care of our family,
Yeah.
the beautiful connection that's been formed and the connection with those that are close to us in our bubble that has been reunited, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, has
Mm-hmm.
been something that I will never forget during this time.
Yeah.
And sharing that and celebrating that more is definitely something that I've been doing a little more lately. And it's been super awesome to just lead with love and create with love and inspire with love. And it just keeps coming back to love, love, love. It's also Valentine's in a few days.
What's love got to do? Got to do with it.
There it is. It's like, it
What's
wouldn't be a
love?
chatters that matters about the
Secondhand
secondhand
emotion.
emotion. What's
Love
love
got to do.
got to do with it?
Well, that was totally normal.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, we gotta
Break out
shake
in
this
song and
up a
dance
little
and
bit.
start doing the robot.
Yeah. Okay, you
Oh.
have to show them your robot arm.
Oh, right now? You want me to do
Yeah.
it right now?
Yeah, like
Oh God.
right now.
All right.
You guys are
Okay.
gonna
Can you?
love this. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can see it.
My arm was so sore after that day. Okay. You can see my arm?
I can totally see it. Here it goes. Woo! I love it.
Oh my God.
I try, but my arm don't go that way. Let's see. Okay. I'm totally gonna do it.
I should
All right,
actually
guys.
post that robot video. Okay, ready? Let's see
We're
it.
gonna vote.
Like slowly coming.
I don't even think my arm moves that way.
The next day, I literally was like, why is my arm so sore? How many times did I do that?
Okay, I'm inspired. I'm gonna try the left side.
No, you're still already stiff.
You got the lip up. I think it helps me. Oh, you gotta like let it go.
Let it go. Limp. Oh my God, I love you.
This is
Okay.
what we love to do. All right, what's up next, girl? What do we want to talk about now?
Oh gosh, I think I'm not too sure. I think it's such a heaviness that I think that,
Oh, we got a question that just came in. No, I'm just kidding.
that's because I didn't shut my phone off.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. It's a pro D day, so I have little feet running upstairs. And I was like, don't interrupt me downstairs. I'm talking with Leah. Like,
yeah, we were late coming on the call because I had to have a little chitty chat with a teacher. My children, both of them actually display anxiety with stomach aches.
yes.
And my oldest has been starting to every night right around bedtime and first thing in the morning. And then the rest of the day, he's fine. And so, or coming up, oh, my stomach hurts so much. And that has been something that's happened with them for quite some time. And my youngest, who has developmental disabilities and delays, had a substitute teacher the other day, and he has attachment difficulties as well. So sure enough, I get a phone call at 10 o'clock with my stomach hurts so much. And it's interesting because as soon as I picked him up, I sat in the car and I looked at him, and you could literally see, oh, I mean, I guess somebody else wouldn't be able to literally see. I could see the energy in his body just go, oh. His safe. Whole, like, just, and he was fine the rest of the day. He wanted to ride his bike. We have a skateboard in our house. And he puts his helmet on and he lays on the skateboard and he literally zooms from my desk right through to the kitchen and then back. And he just back and forth. It's a sensory processing. I'm not going to say no to that. And then occasionally he gets his helmet on and he stands and he walks himself. You know, he's teaching himself how to skateboard. But that's what he did all day on his sore tummy. And so today we had to have a conversation with the teacher, you know, like we need to remind of tools that he can use. He's got certain things at school that they've given him for, you know, these type of instances, but it reminds us about our own levels of anxiety. What tools do you have that you go into, which kind of wraps up how we were talking about earlier. But children are the same way, right?
Absolutely.
They're gonna feel that anxiousness within your body before it comes up within the thoughts. Your body will remember before your mind catches up. And it's something to be very, very cognizant of, because it helps you regulate that much better.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's something in the air, but we've had some conversations with the teachers too this week. Well, my oldest, just really quick share, she got caught in the middle of something in class. It was, you know, a little food fight. And it was
just food fight.
I was like, yeah, girl. But I was just honored that she came to talk to me beforehand. And what was really beautiful about it is it was before bed, and she goes, Mom, you know, can you stick around a little bit and we can have a snuggle? And I know that's let's talk. And she openly said to me, you're probably going to get an email. I have to sit in the principal's office the next day, and this is what went on. I said, okay, so how do you feel about that? And she recognized she doesn't feel very good about that. And she wanted to write an apology letter to her teacher. Well, while we were writing the apology letter to her teacher, he was writing me an email. And it was just really interesting to see, because as she was scribing it and we had sent it off, his email came through, like literally 4 minutes apart. And he hasn't responded to her apology, which it's been almost 4 or 5 days. So I'm like, okay, well, hopefully he'll acknowledge it, because that was really big for her to recognize, reflect, and then want to be able to share that with him.
Yeah.
But I was super proud of her for taking that step in the direction to make that initiative, you know, and she recognized, you know, it's going to happen, of course, right? But I was like little proud moment there. Yes. And then with my other child, he's been getting beat up in the Gagaball pit.
What?
It's a Gagaball pit. They played, it's called Gagaball. I don't know. Jagerball. I don't know what it's called. Gagaball. But
slip of the tongue. I was actually talking about nightclubs to my son this morning.
Oh, geez.
I was like, do you know what a nightclub is? And he's like, yeah. And then Cher came on. Do you believe in life after love? And so I started like car dancing and, you know, like the remix of Cher. And he's just side-eyeing me. I was like, no, swear, this was what I used to dance to.
Don't hide yourself. We love you for your Cher dances. But just to wrap up, it was interesting to hear my middle son dealing with bullying. And it's hard because he's such a sensitive guy, because he can feel everyone's energies. And it was almost like this kid punched him, the bell rang, and the supervisor just took him inside to the principal's office. And it's frustrating because they don't do any interpersonal, like allow him to tell that boy how it made him feel. And I just, because that's what I teach, I get frustrated because I'm not there to support and facilitating. And it just blows my mind that he's not able to express how he's feeling to this boy. It's just the other child gets swooped up and taken to the principal office. I said, well, did he even apologize? It's like, no. So I'm recognizing this, boiling of
systemic within the school system and how to handle bullies and how to handle personal accountability. But it trickles from the top down. So if these adults, which they don't, know how to process their emotions, they are going to shut the children down as well. And there's going to be no processing of what is happening within internally. And I think that's the shift that we're trying to make as adults. Chatting and working within the school system and talking about how we can be, well, I don't work within the school system anymore. I used to, but talking about how we can, personal accountability, people, own your shit.
Yeah, totally. And don't make Mama Bear come there and be like, okay, boy, you sit there while my boy tells you what's up. He wants to know how he's feeling. Like,
with that accent?
Yeah, I would. And a mask so he doesn't know who I am.
Oh my God.
So I too am working through and making sure that, we're doing a lot of dialogue and breaking it down at home, and better in the future being able to prepare him with some words if he's given the opportunity to, because I feel like it just keeps getting shut down, where I want him to express, I want him to explain, or just, I don't care, rage, scream, yell, like, don't touch me, like, get that out. So we're working through a little bit of that, but it's just been the energy has been a bit heavy.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've been talking for how long now? All of it is related to just this week. I mean, the stories that we've talked about, it all relates to the same thing. Standing up for yourself, being accountable for your emotions, being accountable to other people, and recognizing that it won't stay the same. But really, It starts from us, and then it works its way down to our children. Because, if my kids don't know how to process their stress and anxiety, then how am I supposed to, if I don't know how to process my stress and anxiety, how am I supposed to teach my children?
Modeling behavior.
Modeling behavior is very important, and having conversations. Like, my son recognizes, my older one, my 6-year-old not yet, but my older one, do we recognize this pattern of behavior, which is actually verbatim what I said to him last night when he came down. And sure enough, 5 minutes past his bedtime, I'm not feeling very good. I'm like, okay, so I would like to point out that this has, been a pattern of behavior for the last week. And I understand that you're, feeling this way, but let's talk about what's underneath all of it. And then all of the anxiety about school came up. Okay, good. Now we've talked about it. What's the worst case scenario? And that's something that I have to get him to do because it's circling in his head regardless. So worst case scenario, what's going to happen? All right, best case scenario, what's going to happen? Probably going to land somewhere in the middle, which is fantastic. So now that we've addressed it, we can move through it. And what can we do right now is control this now moment, which is you getting your ass in bed.
You need sleep so you can process.
Yep. This is important. Anyways, I love chatting with you.
This is
episode number 3.
All right. There you go. That's another wrap. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Peace out. Oh.